No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show starts now.
Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. And for all of those joining us live anywhere on the interweb, including Nevada, welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show. I am in the host chair, but I'm not just Dave Manouk, IC Dave today. I am your honorable premier for the day. The power has gone straight to my head, Ezzy. So I am the honorable premier Dave Manouk. For those who are wondering what the hell I'm talking about, I woke up to the news on Twitter today that I had been given the power of premier for the day. And I had very, very simple platform as I don't like to, I didn't want to yield my power too strongly on day one, which coincidentally is my only day in power. So I limited it to fixing the roads, synchronizing the lights, and taking full control of the kill button on Drew's mouse. So it would be the Ginsburg Manouk experience. And that's what I did. As folks can see, I at least made one of those things take place, Ezzy, because there ain't no Drew. It's you, it's me, it's the folks in the chat. So one of the three, I'm a better politician than most politicians because I made at least one of my campaign promises come true. Good evening, Ezzy, and welcome to the Legal Curve Post Game Show following the Jets 3-2 win over the Ducks. We'll get into the game after, but what do you have to say about my day one of my rule?
Well, I'm just, I'm humbled to be in your presence, the presence of royalty here. So you know that, Dave, that I would always vote for you, or I would always be your campaign manager if you ever do decide to go into politics. Yeah, it's pretty funny, eh? Like I didn't even know that was a thing, that there was a premier for a day. But pretty funny. First day of spring as well, right? So you're not only are you the premier of Manitoba, you're the premier of spring, Dave. So pretty awesome. And you didn't mention that one of your campaign promises was a Jets win, and that's what they delivered. The only thing that we didn't get, I mean, obviously the Jets are now 6 points up on the Flames, so they have some breathing room. Yep. They're still 4 points up on the Predators.
Really, I think 5.
Pardon me, 5. Crazy to believe that during the game the Predators momentarily were 3 points behind the Jets, but they obviously, get
with 3 games in hand, Desi.
3 games in hand, right, for the Predators, not the Jets. You know that, just so the people watching know that. But I mean, for me, Dave, it was always the Flames that were going to present the biggest challenge. But as it stands now, I mean, it might be the Predators, but with 6 points behind, I mean, that's going to be really hard for the Flames to come back and close that gap with the Jets. So this is a big win. I mean, the game definitely did not have a playoff atmosphere. There were, as you tweeted, Dave, a lot of empty seats at Honda Center. It seemed like half the building was Jets fans. Every time the Jets scored, they got a big ovation, right? So the only thing I was going to mention earlier that the Jets didn't get was a power play goal.
Yeah.
So the power play is now, 0 for 21, in the last 7 games, but they get the win, and it wasn't pretty, and the winning goal wasn't pretty. But who cares? You got the 2 points. You're 6 up on Calgary, 5 up on Nashville, and really that's all that matters, right?
Well, look, we know that Anaheim had nothing to play for. They're one of those definitions of a loose team, Ezzy. But at the same time, you still have to win these games, and you still have to, play the right way. And the Jets really did for the most part. I mean, they controlled the puck. They controlled the ozone time was double. The shots were double. The advanced stats were primarily double. I mean, the Jets really did control it, and you've got to give credit to netminding, of course, because that's one of the things. And we thought it would be John Gibson to the rescue, but he gets a rare night off in Anaheim because which you don't see very often. But the Jets really did, they allowed Anaheim to get into it because they couldn't open things up, and they were victims of some overpassing, some overthinking again. Seems to be symptomatic of the Jets, and as you said, as the powerless power play continues to be a bit of a bugaboo for these Winnipeg Jets, and something that they're going to need to take care of because, look, eventually it's going to go in, but Rick Bowness seems intent on continuing to make some minor tweaks, but this thing could need some sort of major overhaul. We saw from the folks who were in the who are there, Weber and Murat. I think Murat might have tweeted that Brad Lauer is with the team, so that's good news from his perspective and from the team's perspective, because of course he's in charge of the power play. But really what today, as for me at least, it was all about the Appleton line and Mason Appleton and Adam Lowry. And Adam Lowry, fitting, right? How impactful was he throughout the course of this game? The penalty kill was big. He had that big, what turned out to be the game-winning goal. But the play at the end of the game, that's as big to me as the game-winning goal, because he's sacrificing and doing what it needs to do to get that puck out of the Jets' end and not allow, Anaheim to set up. And that to me is just as important as obviously getting the game-winning goal.
Yeah, arguably Appleton's best game of the year. Huge goal. Was good when he's on the PK, as he always is. Lowry, scores the tying goal against Nashville last weekend, winning goal tonight. That line has been huge. And, it's not like, the Jets were getting a lot of chances, but it's not like, this was a dominant performance, right? Like the Ducks are, as you mentioned, Dave, second worst team, I believe, in the league, or third worst team in the league. They don't have a lot to play for. They're just
104 goal differential minus 104.
Right. And we knew the Ducks were going to be bad. And, the way it's played out, right? Like a team like the Coyotes, who the Jets obviously recently played, they've started to win games, right? So, they've pulled away from the Ducks. And, aside from, Trevor Zegras and, Troy Terry, a few other players, right? Like Mason McTavish, he's a really good player. Ryan Strome, I would throw in there. And yeah, you've got a few good, defensemen back there. Cam Fowler, obviously, who scored a goal. He's still a really good defenseman. But, it's one of the worst teams in the league. They're exactly where, you thought they were going to be. We didn't know exactly, but you knew they were going to be something like 29th, 31st, something like that, right?
Yeah.
And, the Jets, for the most part, controlled the play. Like the Ducks really only came alive in the third period, right? And they made it interesting, right? Like they pulled Dostal, and Vladislav Nemestikov looked like he had the empty net goal, but he pulled the old Patrick Stefan, right? So,
yeah,
I think the score flattered the Ducks.
Yeah,
in this game, the Jets could have had 4 or 5 goals. You remember Pierre-Luc Dubois, barreling through the middle of the ice, had a really good chance. Dostal stopped him. I thought that was maybe Dubois' best game since returning from his latest injury. But you're absolutely right. You got to love Mason Appleton's game. It's only his 3rd goal of the season. And obviously he missed a lot of games, but
yeah,
I just loved what he was doing all over the ice. And that was a workman-like game for the Jets. Like, it wasn't perfect. And we talked about it. Like, you'd like to score a power play goal, or you'd like it to be a little bit more of a convincing win, Dave, but you'll take it. And really, if you think about it, that is probably, up until this point in the season, one of the most important wins of the year, because, you don't want to be in a position where, Nashville's got the games in hand and they're only 3 points back, right? And then you wanted to take advantage of Calgary losing as well, right, to Vegas. So it's a big win. And again, like you would like to see, maybe a little bit more goal scoring, like I said, but I think the Jets will be happy with getting the 2 points. And the next big challenge is obviously coming up on Saturday, because the Kings are a really good team. They might end up winning the division. And it's going to present a much different challenge.
Well, and as the Kings, and we say hello to Wonk, who's in Argentina. Oh, sorry, I missed. That was the wrong one. As I was putting up that was his second comment, but his first one was, it's almost 2 a.m. in Argentina. So in Argentina, I would no longer be the premier. Sorry, I've got 5 more minutes here, unless I just don't relinquish power. Maybe I just retain it. But no, I'm in charge. I want to make sure that we have an honorable transition to the next premier for a day. So I will not.
Yeah, Dave, you're not the premier of Argentina, I don't think. Maybe you are. I don't know. Maybe we're not aware of that Twitter account, but I didn't see them tagging you. So
no, that'd be nice. Maybe if I just keep moving to different roles, like instead of being premier, maybe I'll be mayor of Brandon tomorrow, and then mayor of like Bissett or something like that. We'll see. But look, I think, it's kind of that workman-like effort you want to see from the Jets. And again, Kyle Connor gets off the schnee, and we'll talk about that in a bit, but like you could see the relief on his face as it was quite evident through the television how much relief he was feeling for being able to finally score his first goal in a while. And I jokingly said it's going to take, him shaving off that mustache in order to him to finally get something going here. But, he saved his mustache. They didn't have to sacrifice a chicken.
2 of 3 goals were mustaches. Appleton's got a good stash as well.
Exactly. I don't know if there's some sort of Movember in what month are we in? March. But anyways, what was the one you were doing, Ezzy? What was the one you did with what was the beard one?
That was the Festival de Voyageur.
Yeah. What was it called again?
It was like the media, mustache growing, beard growing competition.
Well, wasn't there a name for it?
Good beard going right now, actually. I mean, you can.
That's what made me think of it, actually. Yeah, I know. That's what made me think of it.
I'm probably going to get a haircut pretty soon, though. So I hate to disappoint anybody who thought I was going to grow a ZZ Top style beard, but yeah, that was fun back in the day. There were some crazy beards. I thought I had a pretty decent beard, but then there was this one guy, I forget his name, might have been Warren actually. And he had the longest beard, and he was actually putting candies in his beard.
Like Peter Griffin style. Ooh, as had to hit the kill switch.
Had to hit the cough button a little bit, but yeah, that mustache, I hope it doesn't go anywhere, because Connor's got a great mustache to go along with the great flow.
There you go. Well, as we should get into this thing called the Betway game recap, and I will read that thing right now, Ezzy, because it's time for the Betway game recap, which is brought to you, not surprisingly, by our friends at Betway, one of the most trusted voices in sports betting, both in Canada and all around the world. Betway is a sports betting app, Ezzy, that puts you, the customer, at the forefront. With a large selection of betting options in sports, as well as strong promotions and fair odds, what are you waiting for? Head on over to Betway and bet your way. Must be 19 years or older to play. Please, Ezra, please play responsibly.
Well, Craig Penner is confirming that his name was Warren, my old union rep. Good guy. Really funny guy. So, Craig, thank you for backing me up there. He also, I remember running into him. He was working at a restaurant. I think it was called 1948. You know that restaurant in Wolseley? It was like that old school. I don't think it's open anymore. Anyways, good guy, Warren. One of the best beards of all time. Let's get into it, Dave.
I know. I'm trying to enjoy the last few minutes here, Ezra, of the power I have. I'm wielding that power. I want to go to Comet Street and fix that crater in his street. Every street has craters, though. I mean, honestly, you're driving in 2 lanes now just to make sure you don't bottom out your car.
The streets are important, but can you just maybe decrease my property taxes? I'll take that. I don't care about the potholes, but if you decrease my property taxes by 50%, Dave, I would definitely appreciate that. And I think we probably have a lot of people in the chat that would like that too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wouldn't, as much as you're my main man, and as Andrew says, you're my new minister of fun. I wouldn't, I don't think I could just do it for you. I'd have to do it for everyone in the chat, but it would only be for everyone in the chat, the folks who support us and join us after every single Jets game, because you, of course, are listening to the Illegal Curve post-game show with Dave Manouk, the Honorable Premier Dave Manouk. I'm going to be listen, I almost started the show with the Macho Man, Randy Savage. That was going to be my walk-in music for my new role. But, and of course, Ezra Ginsburg. And we ask you to smash the like button for, the folks who are joining us, whether it's midnight or 2 a.m. or wherever you are. Smash that like button. Enjoy the show. Have fun in the chat. Charlie saying Ezra for mayor. Well, Ezra might be the mayor. And I would be fully throwing my support behind Ez for mayor. But Ez, right now, we'll get into that. I will
never, ever, ever go into politics, ever.
Yeah, well, B. Henderson wants me to get rid of all the bad drivers in Winnipeg. Let me tell you, B. Henderson, I'm often driving to Henderson, and let me tell you, it is atrocious having to deal with this. But unfortunately, Maul is telling me time's up, or Alan's telling me the time is up. I am no longer the premier. I'm going to be handing in my keys. So thanks for putting up with my drunk with power Manouk premiership. And as I'll get into
to have you back, Dave. You know what? The power was starting to get to your head.
It was.
I didn't even really know who you were anymore.
You know what, Ezzy? I didn't recognize myself. I was like, it wasn't me. I'm back to Dave Manouk. Let's forget about the rest. And let's just focus on the hockey game. I'm back to just being an analyst on this broadcast and your main man. So let's just keep it rolling. Let's get into it, because there were a few more goals than we've been used to counting of late, and it all began with
3 goals. Is that like an explosion for the Jets at this point? Can you call that?
Feels that way. kind of feels that way. Anything more than 1 or 2 as is like an explosion. So Skippy, don't worry. We're getting the hockey talk right now. And we're going to start with Cam Fowler. The Ducks do what the Jets don't do enough of, which is get some bodies in front of the net, take away the goaltender's eyes. Cam Fowler takes advantage of that and floats a seeing eye shot past Connor Hellebuck into the back of the net to give the Ducks a 1-0 lead, even though at that point, and for most points throughout the course of this game, the Jets controlled the play.
Yeah, absolutely. At that point in the game, it was all Jets. And I think that was only I don't know, what was it, the third or fourth shot, Dave? I'm not sure if you just mentioned that. Sorry, I was trying to pull up the replay here on my other browser. But yeah, I mean, look at Fowler puts the puck on net, and it's a little bit of a screen. Who was it? Derek Grant maybe in front of the net?
There were like 8 guys in front of the net.
Yeah, maybe Max Jones, I think, was in front of the net as well. I'm looking at the replay. I think it is Max Jones, but I think Derek Grant does come in there, or maybe it's Troy Terry as well. But yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to break down on this goal. Hellebuck, if his eyes were taken away, it was just a little bit of a weird goal because it almost seemed like it went over Hellebuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, look at Fowler. What was that? His 10th goal, 11th goal, something like that.
10th goal.
Yeah, so he knows what he's doing. I can't believe they mentioned on the broadcast he's played over 900 games. Like, I know he's been in the league for a while, but when you consider that a couple years from now, he's going to hit 1,000 games, pretty incredible. He's had a great career. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm that upset with anything that was happening on that goal. I mean, Scheifele his positioning wasn't the best. What he was doing in the defensive zone. But yeah, I mean, that was kind of a bit of a fluky goal. And, you didn't get the feeling when that goal was scored, that that was going to be deflating because of how well the Jets were playing and just, how difficult it is for the Ducks to create offense. Like, you saw that, right? Like, what did they have? 13 or 14 shots after 2 periods. It wasn't until the third that they actually came with waves of offense. But, yeah, I think, that goal can just be kind of summed up as a seeing eye shot, as you said.
Well, as just to further reinforce the point you just made, from courtesy of our friend One Bird Fun Word, he has this stat. Anaheim are 0-30-6, scoring fewer than 3 goals this season. So that just shows you how starved for offense this Ducks team is.
And that's half their games, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? 36 games is, I mean, it might not be exactly half their games.
Yeah, I know.
But it's around half their games. I mean, it's just, look, I think, they're going to get a really good player. If they don't get Connor Bedard, they'll get, Adam Fantilli or Leo Carlson or Zach Benson.
Yeah.
Right? Who, we've been watching all year long with the ice. So, I mean, the Ducks, and they've got good prospects in the system now, right? Jamie Drysdale is a guy that we didn't see tonight. Right. So, like, the Ducks are a team that, yeah, they're not going to be very good next year or maybe for the next few years.
Yeah.
But they're going to get a top 5 pick most likely. So, that they're going to nail that. I don't know if they have another first round pick.
Oh, they've got 3. They got 3 first round. They got a ton. It's kind of like who we were just talking about the other day who has a ton. I don't remember which team was it. One of the teams we were just talking about has like, who were we just talking to?
Montreal.
Who did we just have on Saturday's show?
Montreal has 3 too, right? Or at least 2.
Yeah, but who is the other guest? Is the second guest on our show, Saturday show? Goes to show you about. Oh, yeah, sorry, it's the Predators. The Predators have like 15 picks in the first 4 or 5 rounds. I think
that's what you have to do when you sell.
In June.
That's why you have to go all in. You have to sell hard or go home.
Yeah, exactly. So, but the Jets, as one of the things that you wanted to see was how would they respond, because they've controlled play. They've really dominated the Ducks to this point, and yet now they're down 1-0. So what is going to happen with this Jets, resolve? Are they going to go out of their structure, or are they going to try and stick within the framework of what Rick Bowness has kind of tried to institute? And sure enough, hardworking Mason Appleton, Adam Lowry, Dylan DeMello, that trio gets involved. And again, it's just a go to the net. And I highlighted the comments earlier in the show because there were a lot of guys just, in the blue paint. That's how they were getting goals. And again, Greasy, get to the front of the net, establish body position, and, put something home. And that's what Mason Appleton does. And it comes as like less than a minute. I think it was like 45 seconds after the give up the go-ahead goal for Anaheim. So it's a good response by the Jets that they are able to push back into the Duck zone and tie the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we got to talk about Dylan DeMello here. And, Kevin Sawyer, Dan Robertson, they were talking about DeMello. He was another guy that we should mention. That was one of his better games as of late. I don't want to say that's one of his best games of the year, because I feel like, when we throw those types of things out at this point in the season, it gets lost a little bit. But, he was great. And, DeMello is a guy that, at times, has struggled a little bit defensively, but he still, is, I think, the Jets' best defensive defenseman. But, starts the play in the Jet zone and just makes just a nice play. And then, drives the net, gets a piece of Lowry's centering shot. And then, as you mentioned, like, Appleton was in a really awkward position. And I if I'm not mistaken, Dave, Trevor Zegras was checking Mason Appleton as he was driving the net. So it was just impressive that, Mason stayed with it there, and then banged home with the rebound. And then obviously we're going to get into the goal that comes up next. Similar type of goal, really, by the Lowry line. But, that's what this line has to do. They have to be greasy. And Appleton is a guy that's been criticized, sometimes by me, for not providing enough offense and not doing enough things. Like, nobody's disputing how good Appleton is on the penalty kill, right, Dave? Like, he's a great player, but I thought tonight he was noticeable, as they say, in all ends of the ice. So yeah, just love that he drives the net. Nice little touch pass by Lowry, and love the work that Dylan DeMello does on that goal.
And you know what, Ezzy, it's one of those situations where you're sitting there, and if you're the Jets, you're thinking, okay, we're down one. I mean, we're tied 1-0 after 20 minutes, but we've controlled play. They've dominated. Really, they've again, possession, offensive zone time, high danger chances. Most are in the Jets' favor. So you're fairly happy, even if it is just a 1-1 game. And it's like I said, it's one of those unfortunate, you just didn't clear the front of the net, which again came back to burn the Jets on the goal, the second Ducks goal. And we'll get into that in a little bit. And that's one area they're going to have to do a little bit better in terms of cleaning up in front of Connor Hellebuck. Because Connor Hellebuck, even when he doesn't see the shot, can generally make the save, but he's not going to save everything, which we saw again with the Fowler goal. And, the Jets thought that they could have had some power play opportunities, specifically the Kyle Connor breakaway, where Cam Fowler, again, gets his stick in on Kyle Connor. And then
you wanted a penalty there. Like,
yeah, I know. And then you thought Pierre-Luc Dubois was going to draw a penalty because he got interfered with right after going for the rebound. But, no dice on those opportunities. And now into the second period, the game goes and that is where, speaking of Kyle Connor and breaking the cycle of goallessness for him, didn't have to sacrifice a chicken, didn't have to shave his mustache, just had to go to the net hard on a 2-on-1 with Pierre-Luc Dubois. And, the one thing this Jets team, we've been talking about it for a long time now, as too much of overpassing. And we saw it with Blake Wheeler, who gave up a grade A chance to take to try and pass to Nemesnikov in a kind of an awkward position. Well, in this instance, Pierre-Luc Dubois, you have to be selfish. Like, this is what Nino Niederreiter, when he came to the Jets, that's what they talked about with him, was he doesn't look for the pass. He looks for the shot, and then guys can get rebounds. And too many instances now, guys are looking for the pass and not the shot. Well, Pierre-Luc Dubois goes for the shot, and Kyle Connor, he picks up the rebound, and such a big goal for the team at that moment, but also more importantly, a big goal for Kyle Connor to make him feel good again and contribute in a way that we're used to seeing him contribute.
Yeah, and you love the fact that, Nino Niederreiter gets this play started at his own blue line, and 2 Ducks. I mean, this is honestly, Dave, is like something that we've talked a lot about over the last however many games, let's say, 10 games, 15 games, like bad defensive coverage by the Ducks. 2 guys, are basically pursuing Nino Niederreiter. He acknowledges that. And he makes the smart pass up to Dubois, right? And then the Jets are off on a 2-on-1. And, just watching the replay here, it's a 2-on-1, but you've also got 3 Ducks that are flying back, the old flying V. But, I just love that, awareness by Nino Niederreiter. And then Dubois puts a really hard shot on net. And, it's just a nice rebound by Kyle Connor. Not a vintage Kyle Connor type of goal, right? You're used to seeing him on the one-timer or, the quick release in transition, right? But yeah, I mean, it's so funny, right? We always talk about, what you have to do, to start scoring goals or, break a goalless slump. Like you just talked about, 11 games, is not something that anybody saw coming, but we didn't see the goal scoring slump at the beginning of the season, right? So it's been a tough year for Connor, right?
Yeah.
Like he's still having a good season. He could still end up, around 35, 37 goals, right? He's not going to hit 47, unfortunately, unless he does some Daryl Sittler type of stuff, right? But the Jets got timely goals. They're just a much better team than the Ducks, right? Like this effort and the way they played tonight, way more structured. Like you said, way more selfish, and they got the result. And like we said, like this score flatters the Ducks because they could have easily had more. But you love to see Connor finally, as you mentioned, get off that schneid.
By the way, Ezzy, I forgot, and I really should have mentioned because you're going to love the list. So when Mason Appleton scored that goal, that was his 25th, going back to the first period, his 25th career goal with the Jets. So he's no longer tied with, are you ready for this list? Kyle Wellwood, Brandon Tanev, Alexander Burmistrov, and the nose himself, Chris Thorburn.
Sniper.
So now scored one of the nicest goals in Jets history against the Penguins. And he's now tied with 23rd on the list. Who's he tied with? He's Finnish. Didn't have that much finish if he only had 25 goals, but
Christian Vesalainen. No, I don't even think he scored 25.
No.
Olli Jokinen.
Bingo.
Not bad.
Not bad.
I like
well
it.
Done. Well done.
That's going back to what, 2013, 2014?
Yeah, it's a while.
Wow.
Yeah. And also should mention Dylan DeMello, when he picked up that assist, he matched his career high for points with his 22nd, 4 goals, 18 assists, which is the same total he actually had with the Sens in 18-19, but he did it in 77 games. This year he did it in 66. And his career high for assists is 20. He had 8. That was his 18th. So
this is the best hockey that I've seen him play with the Jets, Dave. Just under 24 minutes tonight. The guy is always going up against the other team's top competition. The numbers back it up that he's the Jets' best defensive defenseman. I would say maybe the most underrated player on the Jets. And you love the fact that he's getting, like, he was taking control of the game here. Like he had the game on his stick, so to speak, right? All those cliches. Like he was dialed in tonight. He's a guy that he'll stand up for his teammates. I mean, he doesn't fight like Brendan Dillon does, but you know what I mean. Like he's a guy that plays a physical brand of hockey.
Yep.
I was really impressed with DeMello, and he's been good all season long. Does he make mistakes every once in a while?
Yeah,
of course. Even Mr. Perfect over here makes mistakes sometimes, right? But no, I mean he deserves, as you mentioned, a career year. He's obviously gonna. I think you said tie it. He's tied it. He's obviously gonna surpass that unless he goes 0 for 9, right? But just wanted to mention that, like how good he was playing tonight, and just overall, I mean he's kind of that. That consistent presence, that glue on the back end, right? Because, sometimes they have Pionk playing with Morrissey on that right side, but we know that, DeMello is really the best when he's playing with Morrissey on the top pair, and then you've got Dylan Pionk as your second pair, right? So he was really good tonight.
Yeah, and I mean, he did get I believe he got body slammed behind the Jets net. At one point, there was some physicality, and the Ducks were doing that. The Ducks were finishing their checks because they didn't possess the puck very much. And so the Jets were able to control play and take a 2-1 lead into that second period, or second intermission, sorry, Ezzy. And, it looked like, what were they going to be able to do? Were they going to be able to lock this down? Because you already knew, like, Calgary was chasing it. The Predators had beaten the Kraken in overtime. I believe Minnesota lost to, not that it really matters, but Minnesota and Dallas. Dallas beat Pittsburgh, and Minnesota, I think, lost to Philly. I don't know if it was in overtime. I know it was a 5-4
I think it was overtime.
Yeah, I think it was too. But anyway, so those teams are Dallas and Minnesota or whatever, they're not really catchable. But that with the Preds winning and the Flames losing, you're wondering how are the Jets going to do this? Because one of the talk in today's media availability with Rick Bowness was just about how important this game is, because you really couldn't afford. I mean, you could afford to lose this game, but you really couldn't afford to lose this game, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's funny. I think Remus said this on Winnipeg Sports Talk today. He said that, like, it's not a must-win game, but it's a can't-lose game.
Yeah, that's
right?
a good way of putting it.
And like it kind of goes back to the St. Louis game, which was really disappointing, because if you win that game, then you're already ahead of where you were prior to entering this game. So now that 2 points is huge when you have Calgary losing, right? And I still think, like, even with the games in hand, and even the fact that Nashville has one more game in hand, we know Calgary has a really easy schedule. So, it's not completely over.
Nope. Nope.
But I mean, this win goes, like we've talked about it. When you get to 10 games left, 9 games left, whatever. I mean, each point is so important when you have teams chasing you, right? So it's a huge 2 points, and they obviously have to keep it going. And of course, they can beat. I saw some people talking about LA. Nobody's saying that they can't beat LA. I mean, LA is just. I mean, you're talking about one of the best teams in the Western Conference versus the Ducks, who are one of the worst teams in the conference, right? So that's all we're saying. The Jets have had some troubles against LA in the past, right? So they can beat them, but even if they do beat the Kings, the Flames can lose and they're still up 6 points, right? So it's a huge 2 points and they have to keep it going. But yeah, you definitely didn't want to take a step back, after taking a step forward, if you want to say that against the Coyotes. I mean, they didn't play that great, but in the sense of, they won the game. You didn't want to go back to, having to, have Calgary too close to you in the standings.
But Ezzy, the funniest part is, like, everyone who's maligning the Jets for squeaking out a win against the Coyotes. Again, remember, the Coyotes came in having won 4 straight. They were 6-2-2 in their last 10, and I think even better if you go back even further. But they also took Edmonton to overtime. Like, everybody's talking about Edmonton, but the Coyotes took Edmonton. I think it was like a 5-4. Now, McDavid is insane and scored his 60th goal, and
well,
it was hilarious.
He's shooting the puck off of goalies' helmets.
But did you see how he missed the first, the breakaway pass from Draisaitl? I think it was from Draisaitl. So he misses the first one and he slams his stick in disgust. He's so mad, and you're like, you think, okay, he's gonna snap the stick, and then he realizes Draisaitl has the puck again, so he curls back around, gets it, and then he finishes the game off. And so, but I'm just saying that the Coyotes, while they are,
he can hit 70, by the way, that's not out of the realm of possibility.
No, absolutely,
I mean, he's going to hit 65 for sure.
Wait. Beep, beep, beep. Do we have some breaking news? Is KWB telling us that Kentucky lost?
I think that was a few days ago, Dave.
Well, I don't know. I've been watching. Guys, Moose, Jets. I don't have time. The ice. Who has time for all this stuff? I didn't realize that Kentucky lost, but Drew and Ezzy and I will celebrate the Wildcats loss and Drew's misery. Had his adopted Sweet 16 team, his adopted team, as I should say, his team losing. Now, as you should have disclaimed what you just did, because of course folks may not have realized that the Jets, won. We were only in the second period. We hadn't gotten to the third period. Now we get to the third period, Ezzy, and Frank Vetrano, who was actually all over this game. I thought he actually had a pretty good game for Anaheim. He was fairly noticeable.
Kansas State, by the way, just Googled it. Kansas State.
Oh, really?
Beat Kentucky. Yeah.
Okay. Kansas State.
But I think that was like on Tuesday or something.
See Bobby B saying that's why I'm no longer the premier. I didn't know these things. Okay. Well, that's fair enough.
I haven't watched the second of March Madness. I mean, I hear that it's been very exciting, but like you could literally tell me anything, Dave. Like you could tell me this team beat that team or whatever. There's a lot of upsets. That's what's cool about it. That's why, even though I'm not a college basketball fan, how can you not be when there's so many upsets and buzzer beaters and everything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I've only been to I went to a college basketball game in Vegas once, but I haven't. In fact, actually, it was a game. I don't remember who the Jets were playing as, but Bufflin won the game in overtime, because I remember we were watching it on our phones while we were at the basketball game. I don't remember which game that was, but Dustin Bufflin, it was an overtime winner, but it was an away game because it was a white jersey. I remember that. So a Dustin Bufflin overtime game, folks. Come on. And it would have been in March, obviously. So
what year are we talking about?
I don't remember. I go to Vegas every year, so I can't remember what year it was. But anywho, I'll remember it eventually. Okay, well, let's get down away from memory lane, as we're no longer strolling down.
Let's get into that Vetrano goal. Vetrano's a good player.
Yeah.
And he had a good scoring chance earlier. And yeah, I mean, again, the penalty kill has been so good, but Anaheim, they've got enough skill on that team. And Vetrano, it's a nice shot, really. Like you got to give Vetrano credit. He's a guy that's played on a few teams. He's been a bit of a journeyman in his NHL career, and he's got a great shot. 18 goals now, and on that particular goal, I think it was just maybe a little bit late on the coverage,
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a nice shot from basically it was a point shot.
Mm-hmm. And the only thing you'd like to see is maybe DeMello box out a little bit better in that one, because I think he could have helped Connor Hellebuck a little bit. But look, it's one of those goals that you're thinking to yourself, okay, what's going to happen? And the Ducks did get energized as a result of that goal, so it was very easy to see, hey, are the Jets, is this a here you go again? The Jets are now down. It's a 2-2 game, and are the Jets going to blow a game where they've controlled it for the most part? And they need it against a team that, you can say they're loose, whatever, have no cares, but the Jets can't, as we said, you can't really lose this game. And sure enough, Neil Pionk up to Brendan Dillon. And again, Brendan Dillon deserves a lot of credit in my mind, because he doesn't just wildly toss that puck on net. He waits and he sees Adam Lowry establish body position, and credit 17 for getting, that position as he in front of the net and giving that target to Brendan Dillon to fire that puck at him. And, Lowry puts it home to give the Jets a 3-2 lead, sorry. And again, most importantly, it's one of those goals where a guy is outworking the opponent, which is something you want to see from the Jets, working hard, not just pretty goals, not these like highlight reel goals. You need work boots, blue collar type goals right now. That's what you need from this team.
You need work boots from Tough Duck.
Work boots from Tough Duck. And Adam Lowry put on his Tough Duck work boots. And someone in a few minutes will be putting on a Tough Duck toque when you give out the hardest hitting comment prize as. But the fact of the matter is that Adam Lowry, went to work. Brendan Dillon made the pass, and it was a significant milestone for Adam Lowry. I mean, he has 3 goals in his last 4 games after going so long without scoring, but that was also his 200th point in the NHL.
Yeah, and great for him. And yeah, I mean, you love his body position. It was Colton White, who was the defenseman for the Ducks. He used to play for the Devils, which, Dave, I was a big Colin White fan. I always found it funny that, first off, there's another Colin White that plays for, I think he's still on Ottawa, right? Unless he was traded. But I also find it funny that the Devils drafted a Colton White after having a Colin White back in the day when they won the Stanley Cups. But I mean, he just.
By the way, Morgan Barron in the first period, as he made him Colton Black and Blue,
and that was a good hit. That was old time hockey. I love it. I absolutely loved that hit. And Barron's not going to stay on that fourth line for long, Dave. I think
I don't really understand it.
We'll leave it at that. I don't know. What did he have? 5 minutes of playing time last game, but that's more of a Saturday morning topic. But we'll just let that go. But yeah, I love that. Barron is, he's contributing on the cycle. He's getting scoring chances, but he's also laying the body. But yeah, I mean, getting back to why I was talking about Ducks defenseman Colton White. I mean, Lowry is just bigger than him, and he just like Colton White couldn't do anything, right? It's like back in the day when we used to talk about how Toby Enstrom would struggle against 6'5" forwards. Like he just, even though his stick was 30 feet long, he he couldn't move those guys, right? So yeah, Lowry just parked himself in front of the net, and it's a nice pass by Dillon and a nice game-winning goal, right? The definition of a greasy goal. But I mean, that's a skill. That's a power man goal right there.
Well, and Ezzy, the chat is alive right now, and we thank you for spending your, what is it, Friday morning here on the Illegal Curve post-game show. You could be out checking out
pot of coffee on, Dave. I know you don't drink coffee, but
yeah, I mean, it would only be for you.
12:30. I mean, Naomi's probably going to be up pretty soon.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe folks are choosing to spend their nights with us. They could be out chasing the Aurora Borealis, aka the Northern Lights, which are exceptional as per.
I've never seen the Northern Lights like in real. Like I've seen pictures.
Really?
No.
Oh, well, our photographer Colby Spence is currently chasing them. He's sending me pictures.
Nice.
He's at Birdsell Park last I checked.
Oh man, I'm sure he's going to get the most incredible pictures, because that guy has a way with that camera, because it seems like any picture he could take a picture of a popsicle stick and it would look cool.
It's true. He's unbelievable. So he's out. He's not like the rest of the chat. He'll listen later, but regardless, the fact is that we appreciate you joining us late as it is here on the Illegal Curve post-game show, which of course comes to you live after each and every single Jets game. And I'm told someone asked Ezzy if we'd go late today, because apparently Kenny and Rennie are not doing a show today, which is, they could have at least given us a little heads
late
up.
Dave, yeah. It's 12:25. What are we talking about?
Well, they want us to go, sorry, not late. They wanted us to go long. Sorry, I should change my verbiage. They want us to go a little bit longer because of the lack of Kenny and Rennie.
I would, except for the fact that we're going to have a packed Saturday with the afternoon game. I think the Jets Kings game starts at 3, if I'm not mistaken. So, Saturday is going to be pretty long. So I mean, we'll do a solid, hour, maybe hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah, no,
But
we're not going anywhere.
I don't think we're going to go as long as Cocaine Bear or anything like that.
Okay, well, Tracy's saying that there's a show scheduled for them, so maybe we got some fake news. As a former premier, I understand. By the way, no longer the ex-premier. My advisor, is your boy Bruce, told me that I should go by former premier. It sounds classier, so I'm going to say as the former premier. I'm told now that was some fake news, and that they are in fact
Premier
scheduling
Emeritus.
A show. There you go. Okay, so it's amazing sometimes these little segues as I'm forgetting where we're going, but let's so the Jets have a 3-2 lead. And how are they going to react? How are they going to protect that lead? And you know what? They've got, no surprise, Blake Wheeler on, and I know the chat was a little bit, I was in and out of the chat throughout the course of the hockey game. Chat was not happy to see Blake Wheeler out there defending the lead late in games. I'm not really certain. I'm understanding. I get that he's got good hands, but I don't understand, with Rick Bonus's rationale really there, but I mean, he's the coach.
I would care, honestly, Dave, if it was against a better team.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
That's fair. I'm sorry. We talked about it. The Jets had, the opportunity to end it. Like Nemesnikov hit the post. Not sure what was happening there, but they got the 2 points. So yeah, do the Jets have better defensive forwards that they can put out there? Of course they do.
Yeah.
Right? Like we could name a bunch of forwards. We talked about like Lowry and Appleton would obviously be at the top of the list.
Yeah, and
Morgan Barron. Like there's a lot of guys. Saku Manalainen is a good defensive forward. Kevin Stenlund is a guy with his versatility, his ability to play center and wing. I mean, look at Rick Bonus. Isn't that different than Paul Maurice in the sense that he relies on his veterans. He goes back to what he knows, right? That's why.
Yeah,
I think we've seen the line combinations that we've seen, but yeah, I mean, if you're basing it just on positional strength or usage, what player it gives you the best chance at locking down a win.
Yeah,
Wheeler's not the guy that I'm putting out there, but I mean, he's got great hands, so that's obviously one of the reasons why they put him out there, because if he gets the puck, we know that he'll try to go for the empty net. But as we saw a few weeks back, he missed, and I forget who that was. That the Sharks that tied that game up. All these games, Dave's, when you get to game 72, 73, like they all just start blending together for me. But they got the win, they hung on, and now you go to LA, and hopefully you're going to be able to turn it into a 3-game winning streak.
Yeah, and look, I mean, but just to be clear, Lowry and Appleton were on late in the game, and Lowry, again, we're going to laud him for what he was able to do with the final, few minutes, seconds ticking down on the clock there in Anaheim in the Honda Center, because very easily he could have not done well. I mean, yeah, obviously he could have not done what he did, but he made smart plays. He handled the puck responsibly, and that's what you want to see from a guy who's entrusted with the opportunity to protect the lead. And I like the way the Jets did it, and he didn't just fling the puck down, recklessly. It was all measured, and he used his body and used his physicality, and it was a good way to end that game. It kind of put an exclamation point on the game for the Jets.
And Dave, just wanted to bring one thing up here.
Sure.
It's not to do with what you were just talking about, but Mike from Canmore was asking about Samberg. We haven't had a chance to talk about this because we were talking about it after last game, after the Coyotes game. I mean, I was surprised that was a healthy scratch situation. And obviously, he blocked the shot, but we were told, right? You reported on this on illegalcurve.com that he was in fact a healthy scratch, but
right.
With Capobianco taking that penalty, it wasn't the worst penalty ever.
Yeah, it wasn't
that I wouldn't be shocked if Samberg goes in against LA. Obviously, I'm an outsider as opposed to being an insider like you are, Dave. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Samberg goes back into the lineup. Capobianco was fine.
Yep.
But I have a sneaking suspicion that we're going to see Dylan Samberg on Saturday afternoon in the lineup.
And it's not a bad idea at this point of the season to get guys into, freshen them up and stuff. And so just to be clear, as he's just said, Dylan Samberg, we presumed on the game against the Coyotes when he didn't play. He had blocked a shot in the morning skate. So we thought, and when he didn't play, the presumption was that he drew in because he had blocked that shot and he was injured. Then Scott Billick, I believe, reported it first, was that that it was actually, in fact, a healthy scratch for Sandberg, not anything to do with the blocking of the shot.
And we didn't find out about that until yesterday, right? That was at practice yesterday. Like, we didn't know about that after the game, right? Like, that's why you mentioned it, because he wasn't asked about it. So it was just a bit of a bizarre situation.
Yeah.
Again, I Capobianco could end up playing, but I think you would agree there's a reason here. There's a chain of events that has happened here, and I honestly don't think they want Sandberg, sitting in the press box for that long. I don't think that was ever, maybe it's a bit of a wake up call to him as well, Dave.
Yeah, and look, there's some points you can like. Rick Bowness was asked about it, and he asked about Capobianco versus Sandberg, and he mentions a few things, and and it was funny because like the folks at Cap Friendly said that Dylan Sandberg only has 3 more games of waiver exemption before he loses that exemption, I should say. And so people are like, is that the reason he's being held out? I'm like, well, no, I don't think so. But I just think it was worth noting because the folks at Cap Friendly were just talking about the games that are going to be
like Eric Comrie all over again, right?
Yeah, exactly. A little bit different in terms of UFA status, but yeah, definitely something to pay attention to in terms of what happens on Saturday and how the lineup, if the lineup changes. The one thing we know will not change is that Connor Hellebuck will be your goaltender for the near future, as we don't think he's going to be changing the nets, giving up the net to David Riddick. And look, there's no reason.
No back-to-backs, and the
schedule
a couple days off, so he'll play against the Sharks most likely too.
Oh yeah, well of course, because if you think about it, they play Saturday. Like they'll have a practice tomorrow. He may skate, he may not. They play an afternoon game. They have a day off on Sunday. They'll practice on Monday. Then they'll play the Sharks on Tuesday. So he'll have more than enough rest. And then they're back here and they play. Is the first game Thursday
Detroit.
or Friday?
Detroit.
Yeah, it's Detroit, but is
on
it
Friday
on Thursday?
Night? Yeah.
Yeah, so they don't play again until Friday.
We're going to be going to that game together.
We will be rolling together
and then they've got the Devils on Sunday.
The Devils on Sunday. Yes, yeah. That's a good point, Ez, and that'll be a good one. Well, we are done the Betway game recap. So we should mention that Betway game recap has been brought to you, of course, by Betway. It's simple, fun, and safe to bet with Betway. So head on over to Betway and bet your way. You must be 19 years or older to play. Please, Ezra, please, I always say this to you, please play responsibly. Well, we're going to throw it to our other commercial sponsors. Folks can enjoy the Grid Park commercial. They can enjoy the Rollies commercial. They can enjoy all of the commercials here on the Illegal Curve post-game show. So give a listen to our sponsors. And while you're waiting, throw down a like and maybe go and drop a comment on the podcast. I'm still waiting. The last one still remains Phyllis. So even though I beseeched you, I didn't get any comments on the iTunes or the podcast or wherever you download the podcast from. So I would ask again, if you get a chance, go leave a comment on the podcast and smash that like button and listen to these words from our sponsors.
Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Jon Stewart, Dennis Miller, Brad Garrett, the biggest acts and all the up-and-comers. They've all made their mark at Rumors Comedy Club, North America's longest-running independent comedy club. Rumors has kept Winnipeg laughing for over 25 years. When was the last time you laughed out loud? Make it a great night out with friends or book your office or birthday party, even a fundraising event at Rumors. Get all the details and dates on upcoming shows at rumorscomedyclub.com.
He winds up. Oh, looks like Ezzy took that one right in the choppers.
A blistering fast puck hurts like HE double hockey sticks. That's why I let the pros at Linden Market Dental Center turn my yow into
wow.
Get your brilliant smile back with state-of-the-art restorative and cosmetic dentistry from real pros.
And remember, always wear a mouth guard.
Now that's solid on ice advice. Learn more at lindenmarketdentalcenter.com. Creating smiles for life.
Whoa, Ezzy, everything okay? You look stressed.
Of course I'm stressed. We're moving, the house is upside down, the kids failed miserably at packing the fine china, and my life is in chaos. Chaos!
Yes, that does sound like a problem.
What am I going to do?
Ezzy, relax. Rollies Transfer Moving and Storage is the answer. With 60 years of experience in moving Manitobans and a track record of exemplary customer service, one call to Rollies and your stress is gone. No job is too big or too small. Just visit rollies.com and they will take it from there.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you, Rollies Transfer Moving and Storage, online at rollies.com.
Dave, my man, why are you in the car already? It's hours until game time.
Drew, it's because I'm stressed out right now, driving around downtown Winnipeg, looking for a parking spot, and I'm not finding one. I've lost Ginsburg. I don't even know where that guy is right now.
Dave, haven't I taught you anything? Do what I do. Pre-book your entire month's worth of game day parking with the Grid Park app. It's super easy to use and saves me both time and stress.
Well, Drew, I'm not independently wealthy like you are. So I'm sorry that I don't have millions of dollars to pre-book my parking month in advance. What's that going to cost you? $25?
How about $5?
Come on, $5? No
Yep,
way.
$5. I'm not telling you a lie. And our listeners can get a free park with the new special promo code Illegal Curve. Guess what? There's more.
There's more, Drew. You're lying to me. What more could there be?
Grid Park now has underground parking, so my car can stay warm during the game.
So wait a second. All the driving around I do, looking for parking, minus 40. You're telling me I could be toasty warm in a car after the hockey game?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. Underground parking. Just download the Grid Park app. That's GRYD Park and use the code Illegal Curve. All one word. You'll park for free your first time.
Hi, it's Drew from Illegal Curve here. Selling your home can be stressful, but it wasn't for me. Thanks to my friends at Zappia Group Realty, they made the process so easy. My home sold within 48 hours and with multiple offers. Zappia Group Realty took care of everything with their exquisite customer service and attention to detail. If you want to sell your home for more in less time, get started by talking to Frank and Mauro Zappia of Zappia Group Realty. Online at zappiagroup.com.
For 3 generations and over 80 years, Tough Duck has been making apparel that works and plays as hard as the people who wear it. From jackets to work boots and everything in between, Tough Duck's clothing can handle the harshest environments, even the Illegal Curve hockey show. Work to live, live to play. Visit toughduck.com.
Welcome back to the Illegal Curve post-game show. I am just Dave Manouk. No titles other than analyst on the Illegal Curve hockey show, the Illegal Curve post-game show. And that's a title I'm happy to own as are you, Ezzy Ginsburg, also an analyst here on the Illegal Curve post-game show and the Illegal Curve hockey show. And the shadow editor of a little site called illegalcurve.com, as he's always there for me if I make a mistake, which I tend to because I'm working at 2 a.m. and as always got my back and always making sure
That's right.
I'm keeping things tight on illegalcurve.com where you can find all the latest Jets, Moose, and Ice news. As not Jets related, but this is we like to think of ourselves as a Manitoba-based show.
Yep.
So anything Manitoba related, we discuss. And we can't not recognize what happened on this day in 1952. Do you know what happened on this day in 1952? If you remember,
my dad was born in 1951, but no, I don't know what happened in 1952.
Okay, well, that's fine. Does the chat know what happened in 1952? I mean, remember, Drew was a young man. He was only about 4 years old in 1952. That was a few years back, 70 plus years ago. But does the chat know what happened in 1952 on this day? March 23rd, technically, not March 24th. I don't want to screw everyone up. Pertaining to Winnipeg. Okay, nobody knows. On this day, Billy Mosienko set the NHL record for the fastest 3 goals in NHL history with 3 in.
Did you get that from our boy Mike Comito, or was
I did get it? No,
Yeah.
that was a Mike. That was a Mike Comito.
Yeah,
that was a Mike Comito.
For people who don't follow him on Twitter or who aren't familiar with him, he posts every day. Probably posts, Dave, like half a dozen or 10 different, this day in hockey history, and he's got some awesome stuff. Some of it's like more recent, but obviously Billy Mosienko was that you're talking 70 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. So pretty awesome. And very famous last name here in these parts.
Well, and I mentioned it, and I think a lot of people, and Derek is mentioning what I was about to mention, the bowling lanes on Main Street. If you're a North Ender, then many, especially for myself, I don't know about others, but I had many a birthday party at Billy Mosienko Lanes in Winnipeg on Main and hold on, that's Main and I was going to say Burroughs, but it's not Burroughs. It's Main and it's right across from the. Why is the street eluding me right now? I can't think of the cross street, but anyways,
It's
there's
North Main, right?
yeah, Redwood, Main and Redwood. It's just a
Yeah.
little bit. It's not Redwood. It's a block before Redwood. But anyways,
Yeah.
so Main and Redwood had many a birthday. I
West
used to do,
Kildonan.
well, yeah,
West K?
more St. John's than West K,
Yeah,
but
I'm a South Ender, Dave, so I don't know what I'm talking about. Like,
yeah,
my home bowling alley was Academy Uptown.
yeah, you're a Southie. It's
I'm
fine.
a soft South Ender.
It's okay. You know what? I had many a birthday party, Billy Mosienko, many times while I was sitting there. You know, I was such a competitive little kid that I would sit there and while people were bowling, I'd be like, jinx, 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 jinx. And then when they screwed up, I'm like, oh, sucks. It's such a shame. And then of course I would, do the old Fred Flintstone twinkle toes and bowl a perfect game.
You put the Vamelka on them.
I did whatever I had to do, Ezzy, to win that bowl. That was my bowling lane. You weren't going to beat me in bowling.
Yeah, you might beat Dave in another bowling, but not in his home bowling lane. At Billy
right.
Mosienko, Dave you knew every little way that wood and those lanes, those balls, which balls to use.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, every once in a while I would go down to Henderson and of course hit Roxy lanes, but was it Roxy lanes on Henderson? Yeah, Roxy lanes, right? Roxy lanes on Henderson. Yeah, yeah, of course. So, but again, I stuck to Billy Mosienko. That was the home rink. So home lane, I should say, not a rink.
Who do you think you are? Dave is.
I did try 10 pin, but it was not for me. We did that on Regent, and then
10 pin's fun, but it's a little
I can't remember where was that Regent. It was, I can't remember the name of that place. And then there was one in St. Boniface as well, but it was kind of weird. It's in the bottom of an apartment building or something like that.
I've played at that. I don't remember what it's called, but we had like a work function there once. I love bowling.
Whoa, Donnie Boy had a 448. That's pretty impressive.
Whoa, that's like close to a perfect game, right?
Yeah, I can't remember. I think my best was.
I thought a perfect game was 300. That's five. That's 5 pin though.
Yeah, I don't remember. Oh, Le Chateau. Thank you, Tico Napoli. I should have known Tico Napoli would know the answer to that question. So there we go.
I always loved the arcades at Academy Lanes. They had great arcades.
We couldn't afford the quarter
on pinball.
As in the North End, we couldn't afford the quarters to play arcades, so we were lucky we could bowl. We didn't have your fancy arcades. We'd have to go to what was the name of that place in Portage?
Magic Land.
Magic Land. There you go. Yeah. Ooh, we're really going down the old.
I think it's a beauty parlor now, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, who knows? At least it's something in there because if I was premier, which I'm no longer, all those vacancies would be gone. Everything would be full. But I'm not the premier, so I can't do that, unfortunately.
Do you remember what the arcade was called in the Grant Park Mall back in the day?
I only went to it one time.
Pirate's Den.
Ah, yes, I didn't remember that. I did not remember that. Slugs. Ticona had slugs. Look at Ticona. Should have known. Darwin wants us to try pickleball. Yeah, my dad plays pickleball. I have never gotten into it.
I want to watch the movie The Wizard right now with Fred Savage.
Oh, that's a classic. We've really taken this show off the rails. Holy moly. But hey, you know what? It's 12:45 in the morning, folks. You're listening to the Illegal Curve post-game show.
This is stream of consciousness at this point.
Yeah, it may be the Illegal Curve post-game show at this point. What would our bowling show be called?
Pinheads.
Or Airheads with Brendan Fraser and Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
Steve Buscemi, was he the third?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, well, see, once they got fancy glow bowling, Ezzy, that's when I was done. The whole glow bowling thing, I was just like, all right, this is.
Yeah, I was never into the glow bowling. I mean, that was a different. Yeah, it got a little too corporate at that point.
Yeah, it was like, come on, you guys have sold your soul. Come on, this is no longer what we're all about.
That wasn't a great era for bowling. Now
Travis wants to have a bowling night. Could do that.
Yeah, we could. We
probably won't. Anyways, okay, Ezzy. So
are we doing Tough Duck here?
Yeah, let's do hardest.
I might fall asleep if this show goes too much longer, Dave. So sorry,
I didn't realize that I was on a time limit. Although Shawnee, by the way, just to let people know, Kenny and Rennie has started, so we're not gonna do it for too much longer. So Ezzy, I'm too lazy to look back for the comment, so I'm just gonna I'm going to post it and then I will highlight
There we
it so
go.
you can read it out.
Yeah, Quinton, great name. Love Q names. Yeah, you got the comment.
Aren't you
up
the
there.
QAnon shaman?
I'm not going to touch that. Should watch Barron and Wheeler for a game and see what he can do. Should switch Barron and Wheeler for a game and see what he can do. We talked about it. Morgan Barron is on the fourth line right now with Kevin Stenlund and Saku Manalainen. He's looking pretty deadly. I agree. Like I really think, Barron, deserves, some time in an elevated role, or just put him back on the third line, right, Dave?
Mhm.
Like what's wrong with Lowry, Barron, and Appleton? I can't.
I think it's a good line.
Say Barron's name. Obviously, I am starting to fall asleep here, but yeah, I mean, I like that comment. So Quinton, send me an email, Ezra@illegalcurve.com, and Tough Duck you have to send me your mailing address. I should mention that, and then Tough Duck will ship out a toque to you. Got a few more Tough Duck toque winners in today. So for those people who won recently, you should be getting your Tough Duck toques probably. If you don't get them in the next couple days, you'll get them early next week.
And this is my opportunity to apologize because I know folks are champing at the bit to get their merch from the IC contest. We're going to announce a new winner. And I promise you, I will be getting them out ASAP. So if you don't have it this week, you'll be for sure getting it next week. And I'm going to try and clear up everybody so everyone will be happy and everyone will have their gear. Like Lisa, who was at the Ducks game with her son, and they were wearing the jersey that they won, courtesy of the IC contest. So
right on.
We can attest it. Phyllis, she has her jersey, and a lot of other folks have theirs. Doug was in the chat. He has his. Lots of other folks. So don't worry. It's not that some people have hats. Some people have got jerseys. Okay. So, Ezzy, got to announce the winner, because if you enter the contest, and I'm not going to go through Drew's spiel because it's already late. We've already been doing the show a long time. So you know how to enter. Go to the website, enter all your information. All the information is on the website, illegalcurve.com. You go there. We'll explain that. That will explain it. Just click follow. It's easy. Winner, Ezzy. The winner was Jennifer Berthollet. Now, Jennifer, I don't know if she's in the chat right now, but I know Jennifer is constantly retweeting us on Twitter, which again is a way to make points, or to gain points, I should say. The other way, Ezra, the other way. So first of all, congratulations to Jennifer.
I feel like Jennifer has a Flin Flon connection.
Maybe.
She's been listening to IC, watching IC, and like you said, is a common retweeter and share of Illegal Curve social media stuff. I believe she's a real estate agent as well in Winnipeg. So congrats to Jennifer for winning the IC merchandise contest.
Well, speaking of IC merch winners, definitely worth the wait. Lisa from Anaheim is actually in the chat right now.
Right on.
So hopefully Lisa and her son had a great time at the hockey game. But
did Lisa's son get the puck though? Because I saw the sign.
Oh, that's a good point, Ezzy. That's a very good follow-up question.
We need to know, Lisa. Did your son? I think it was Lisa's son. Did he get the puck? That's what we need to know.
Ezzy's journalism degree right there, folks, just came through because he recognized that that's the question you need to ask. So Lisa,
I'm full of questions, Dave. Even though I heard Dave M asking questions to Mark Morrison and Jansen Harkins, I was listening.
Thank you, Ez. Thank you. I appreciate that. But now the question is, did Lisa's son get the puck? So, Lisa, we are waiting with bated breath here to find out if he did. I believe your son, his name is Josh. So did Josh get the puck? Oh, Tico Napoli saying Lisa said earlier he did. So congratulations to, I believe, the game was tons of fun. And
Niederreiter. Nino threw Lisa's son the puck. That's awesome.
Okay, sorry, Ezzy. I threw myself out of motion there. I was muted for a second. So congratulations, Lisa. Way to go. And if you want to enter the unique code word, now Ezzy, you're gonna like this unique code word. Let's see if anybody can get it before I explain it.
Oh, I love that.
I knew you'd like that one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That
also brings back terrible memories of that trade.
Yeah.
But, great code word.
Okay, folks, if you are listening to the podcast, I guess I should not just look at it because, of course, people can, who are listening to us, Ezra, are wondering what the hell the code word is. Oleg and Chad. And Tico Napoli's got it right. Of course, that is the Timu Solani trade way back in the day. So Oleg Tverdovsky and Chad Kilger, they were supposed to be equal compensation for the Finnish Flash. Not quite. But
is the unique code word for the game against the Wings going to be $1?
Chris Draper, the $1 man.
Yeah.
So Oleg Tebert. So just to be clear, it's just Oleg and Andy Chad, not Oleg Teberdowski and Chad Kilger. It's just Oleg and Chad for the unique code word. So enter that in. Donnie Boy wants a free Oleg. Who knows what Oleg Teberdowski is up to? I have no idea. We wish him the best. Because
where does that rank, Dave, in the worst trades of all time?
I don't know. Hold on. Let me just check one thing. Sorry. Thank you. No, my mic was off. So I thank you to Chris for noticing that my mic switched. I inadvertently hit something, and
I noticed it too, but I just went with it. I wasn't sure what was going on there, so I was going to let you correct it. But
no, it was my mic was I hit this by accident, and then it disengaged the microphone, unfortunately. And thanks, Chris, for noticing, because I wouldn't have been such a good one. So
I'm 75% asleep, Chris, so that's why I didn't say anything.
Okay, well, then if you're 75% asleep, let's put you almost the rest of the way with this, Ezzy.
Put on your antlers. It's time for the Manitoba Moose Minute on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show.
Now, I'm not gonna make this. I'm gonna be very quick because we have to go. It's almost the end. Sean and Ken are already ready to roll, so we're gonna make this a quick Manitoba Moose Minute because the Moose have 8 games to start the end of the regular season here at home, and then they've got a short road trip before they get ready for the playoffs. Their magic number is down to 8. The Moose were back home against Rockford to kick things off last night, and they started it off. Jansen Harkins, he got things rolling with a nice goal. Cole Meyer got, with a nice forecheck. Jansen Harkins, he continues to produce. It's actually unbelievable how effective he's been for this Manitoba club. He made it a 1-0 game. Rockford came back, tied it. Ville Heinola would tie the game for the Moose later after they had given up the lead. And then the Moose were down 3-2, and it looked like, well, are they going to not start this homestand off in the right way? But of course, these are the comeback Moose, and they Jansen Harkins, with 10.2 seconds to go on the clock for the second straight game, ties the game, sends it to overtime. Ezzy, all I could think about was you, to be honest with you, because the overtime was exceptionally exciting. Like, Oskari Salminen made some beauty stops, and on one sequence literally made this spectacular save. Puck goes the other way. Dominic Toninato up the middle, gets hauled down, penalty shot in overtime, doesn't score. Jansen Harkins breakaway for the hat trick, doesn't score. Like, it was actually an unbelievable overtime. And then of course it goes from the incredible overtime to a shootout. And in the shootout, the Rockford Ice Hogs took it, and they ended up winning the game 4-3. So the Moose salvaged a point, which they've managed to continue to do. They're maintaining. They're just behind Texas, who are, I believe, 3 points up on them in first, and Milwaukee, who are 1 or 2 points up on them in second.
It's going to be a great race to end it. Like, that's what you want, right, Dave?
Yeah.
And like, as you know, you've been covering the team. Well, you cover the team every year, but I mean, it seems like this year, first off, it seems like the Moose are having more success against the Wolves, right? The Wolves are always the team that seems to give them the most trouble, but it's Milwaukee this year, right?
Yeah. The Wolves, after winning the Calder last year, seemed to kind of sell the farm and realize that they were going to start all over again.
But that's what you like to see, right? And you've got home cooking here, so it's going to be great to watch, the Moose and go on the run, because it looks like, for the most part, unless there's injuries, they're going to be able to, keep some of the guys that started the season with the Jets, like you talked about it, Jansen Harkins, Ville Heinola, Dom Toninato. Someone was asking for a Declan Chisholm update, but I don't know if there's anything new because they didn't give a timeline. It's a high ankle sprain, right, Dave? But I don't think that there's been anything since the first report, which was 2 days ago, right?
No, you're absolutely right. So just so folks know, Declan Chisholm, the 2018 fifth rounder, suffered a high ankle sprain in the final game against Chicago, fell really awkwardly into the boards, brutal, actually. And then I asked Mark Morrison about it at morning skate, and he's indicated that it was going to be it was a high ankle sprain. Didn't have a timeline. Declan Chisholm was having an MRI, so I'm guessing it's going to be at least a month for him, but that's just speculation. We'll see. It could be longer. Really depends on the severity of the sprain.
These guys heal a little bit quicker than I do, Dave. So I saw a high ankle sprain, and I thought it might be the whole season, including the playoffs. But like you said, I mean, he's a
Yeah.
player. He's arguably their MVP, right? So like,
Yeah, he's been there.
He's a guy that you absolutely want for the playoffs.
Yeah, and it just means, again, the other guys have to step up. T. Kona Paulie is going to be happy. Tyrell Bauer, I believe he just celebrated his birthday yesterday, T. Kona, so hopefully you wished him happy birthday. But Tyrell Bauer, he was, he's in the lineup now for the foreseeable future. Simon Lundmark, Leon Gavanke actually was playing on the left side in place of Declan Chisholm, and he jokingly said to me after the game he was happy that Nolan Baumgartner moved him back to the right because he was struggling a little bit on the left. But he and Simon Lundmark were paired up, and Ville Heinola, of course, in the lineup. So it'll be a good run for the Moose. They've got, again, like I said, we've given away the tickets for this weekend's game. They have the rematch tomorrow against Rockford. And then, of course, they play on Sunday. That's the Women in Sport supporting, of course, Hockey Manitoba as. So that game's a 2:00 game. And, of course, we've got a Jets game. We got the Illegal Curve Saturday show. That's why we got to go because, I mean, it's almost 1:00. Maybe Ezzy and I are going to go check out the Aurora Borealis. We'll drive to Okamic Marsh. There we go. I knew Ezzy was getting ready to be creative. So we'll thank everyone for joining us here on the Illegal Curve postgame show. Frosty, it's time. It's time to show me the sponsors and get that up if you can. And we, like I said, if you get a chance before you head over to Kenny and Rennie, smash the like button. Let us know that you enjoyed the show. And if you have comments, again, like I said, drop it in the podcast.
Drop it like it's hot, right, Dave?
Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's Billy Mosienko scoring 3 goals in 21 seconds, which he did 72 years ago or 71 years ago today, Ezra. So
there's no way that anybody ever does that.
No, I know. It's impossible.
Like even Connor McDavid, like that would be like, it's just, if you think about that, that's just craziness.
That's why I love that it was a Winnipegger. There's so much like that. Yeah. That's the pride you feel. And that's one of those things. Like, I mean, when I was a kid, playing on the backyard rink in Rupert's Land in West K, like I remember thinking with my brother, we'd be like, Billy Mosienko. That was the name you'd use, not because we watched him play, but you knew the legend of 3 goals in 21 seconds. Yeah. That to me was what was so significant because, again, we were way too young to, obviously we were born, but we didn't, except for Drew. Yeah. Yeah. And so we didn't know about that, but again, the legend of him and lived on for years because he was a Winnipegger. So anyways, nice little memory right there of Billy Mosienko. Never forget your roots, folks. That's what it's all about. Okay, Ezra, big thank you because this show is brought to you by our sponsors. If it wasn't for them, they're the ones who make this possible. So a big thank you to all of the sponsors of Illegal Curve who make the postgame show, the Saturday show, and the website a possibility. They are Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Linden Market Dental Center, Zappia Group Realty, Betway, Tough Duck, Boston Pizza, Seagram's, Rollies Transfer, Grid Park, and The Keg. Support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. All right, it's time for us to hit the hay. Say goodnight to all the folks. Well, time for you to hit the hay. I got to go and make sure the podcast is up. So anybody who didn't join us live gets to listen to that. But thank you. And thanks everybody for joining us. Have a good rest of your night or morning, I guess I should say. Ezra's got his eye. Believe me, that's what he actually snores. That's actually a good sound for Ez. It's not even one of his worst snores, just so folks know. Anyways, Lisa, enjoy the rest of your California trip. Everyone else, enjoy the rest of your night. We will see you back here Saturday morning on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show, bright and early at 9:00. And of course, illegalcurve.com will be your source for all the latest Jets, Moose, and Ice news. I'm Dave Manouk. He's Ezra Ginsburg. You've been listening to the Illegal Curve postgame show. Thank you, and have a great rest of your morning.
Peace.